The question came out of nowhere, cutting through the quiet hum of the cafe like a blade, soft, simple, but heavy enough to change everything. She looked at him with curious eyes and asked if he was married, and in that fragile pause before he answered, it felt as if the entire world held its breath. What he said next didn't just surprise her, it left her completely speechless. If you believe in kindness, second chances, and the power of unexpected connections, take a moment to like this video, share it with someone who needs hope today, and don't forget to subscribe to the channel for more heart-touching stories like this. The cafe sat on a quiet corner in Portland, Oregon, where the rain never seemed to fully leave and the air carried a constant scent of coffee and damp pavement. It was the kind of place where people came not just for caffeine, but for comfort, for silence, for a moment of escape. Nathan Cole had been coming there every morning for the past 3 years, always at the same time, always ordering the same black coffee, always sitting at the same corner table by the window. To most people, he was just another regular. Quiet. Polite. Forgettable. But Nathan carried a life inside him that was anything but ordinary. At 34, he looked older than his years. The lines on his face weren't from age, they were from sleepless nights, from worry, from grief that never quite loosened its grip. His hands were rough, his posture slightly hunched, as if he carried an invisible weight on his shoulders. And in a way, he did. Every morning, before coming to the cafe, Nathan would wake up at 5 a.m., prepare breakfast, pack a small lunchbox, and gently wake his 6-year-old son, Caleb. He would brush Caleb's messy hair, help him into his tiny jacket, and walk him to the nearby elementary school before heading to work at a small auto repair shop. Life was a routine, carefully balanced, tightly controlled, because if he let it slip even a little, everything could fall apart. 3 years earlier, Nathan's life had shattered in a way no one ever prepares for. His wife, Hannah, had been the light of their home, warm, patient, full of laughter that filled every room. But one rainy night, just like so many others in Portland, a car accident took her away in an instant. No warning. No goodbye. Just silence where her voice used to be. In a single moment, Nathan had become both father and mother. Grief didn't come to him in waves, it settled into his bones like a permanent winter. But he didn't have the luxury of breaking down completely. Caleb needed him. And so Nathan learned to survive, even when he didn't feel alive. He stopped talking about his pain. He stopped sharing his story. When people asked about his life, he kept it simple, almost empty. It was easier that way. That's why, when Olivia Harper walked into the cafe that morning, she didn't expect anything unusual. She was new to the area, recently transferred from Chicago for her job as a pediatric nurse. Life had been hard for her too, different kind of pain, quieter, but still deep. She had spent years building walls around her heart, convincing herself that she didn't need anyone. Olivia noticed Nathan not because he stood out, but because he didn't. There was something about his stillness, about the way he stared out the window like he was searching for something he couldn't reach. She saw it in his eyes, a sadness that felt familiar. Days passed, and she began noticing him more often. Same time. Same table. Same quiet presence. Eventually, curiosity overcame hesitation. One morning, after ordering her coffee, she walked over to his table, her heart beating faster than she expected. She wasn't sure what she would say. She just knew she had to say something. Nathan looked up, slightly startled, as she approached. People didn't usually interrupt him. Olivia offered a small, nervous smile and asked if she could sit for a moment. He hesitated, then nodded politely. For a few minutes, they exchanged simple words, about the weather, the coffee, the city. It was awkward, but not uncomfortable. There was a strange ease between them, like two strangers recognizing something unspoken in each other. And then, almost without thinking, Olivia asked the question that would change everything. She asked if he was married. Nathan didn't answer immediately. His gaze shifted, not to her, but to the empty chair across from him, as if someone invisible still sat there. His fingers tightened slightly around his coffee cup. For a moment, it looked like he might deflect the question, like he had done so many times before. But something about Olivia's presence, gentle, patient, genuine, made him choose differently. He took a slow breath, and instead of giving the simple answer she expected, he told the truth in a way that no one had heard before. He wasn't married anymore, but he also wasn't single in the way people understood it. He explained, quietly but deeply, that his heart still belonged to someone who wasn't there, that every decision he made still included her in some invisible way. And then, after a pause, he said something that left Olivia completely still. He said that he wasn't alone, because he had a son who depended on him for everything, and that being a father had become his entire world. He didn't say it with pride or sadness alone, it was something more complex, more real. It was love mixed with exhaustion, responsibility wrapped in quiet devotion. Olivia didn't know what to say. She had expected a simple yes or no. Instead, she had been given a glimpse into a life built on loss, resilience, and unconditional love. From that day on, everything began to change. Their conversations grew longer, deeper. Nathan slowly opened up, sharing small pieces of his life, never all at once, but enough for Olivia to understand the kind of man he was. She learned about Caleb, about his love for drawing superheroes, about how he still asked questions about his mother that Nathan struggled to answer. Olivia, in turn, shared her own story, the loneliness she had carried, the relationships that had failed, the fear of letting someone in again. They weren't trying to fix each other. They were simply listening, understanding, being present. Weeks turned into months, and something gentle began to grow between them. It wasn't rushed or dramatic. It was quiet, steady, like a fragile plant pushing through the cracks of a broken sidewalk. The real turning point came the day Olivia met Caleb. Nathan had been hesitant, protective. Caleb was his entire world, and he couldn't risk letting someone in who might leave. But Olivia's warmth, her patience, and her genuine kindness made it impossible to keep them apart forever. When Caleb met her, something unexpected happened. The boy who had become shy and withdrawn after losing his mother smiled, a real, bright smile that Nathan hadn't seen in a long time. Olivia didn't try to replace anyone. She simply showed up with care, with laughter, with a presence that felt safe. For the first time in years, Nathan felt something shift inside him. Not a replacement for his past, but a new space opening in his heart, one that he thought had been closed forever. But love, especially after loss, is never simple. Nathan struggled with guilt. Every moment of happiness felt like a betrayal to the memory of his wife. Every smile felt undeserved. He questioned himself constantly, wondering if he was allowed to move forward, if he was allowed to feel something again. Olivia saw that struggle. She didn't push him. She didn't demand answers or commitments. She simply stayed, proving through her actions that love doesn't erase the past, it honors it while making room for the future. There came a moment, months later, when Nathan found himself sitting at that same cafe, looking at the empty chair again. But this time, something was different. The weight wasn't as heavy. The silence wasn't as loud. He realized that love hadn't left his life, it had changed form. And for the first time, he allowed himself to believe that it was okay to move forward. If this story is touching your heart right now, take a moment to comment and share what part of Nathan's journey moved you the most. Your words might inspire someone else who is going through a similar struggle. In the end, Nathan didn't forget his past. He didn't replace it. He carried it with him, gently, respectfully. But he also chose to embrace the present, to allow himself to feel, to connect, to live again. And Olivia, who had once asked a simple question in a quiet cafe, found herself becoming part of a story she never expected, a story of healing, of patience, of love that doesn't demand perfection, only presence. The answer that had once left her speechless became the beginning of something beautiful, something real. Because sometimes, the most powerful love stories don't start with perfect timing or easy beginnings. They start with broken pieces, with honest truths, and with the courage to ask a simple question, and stay long enough to hear the real answer. And if this story left you feeling something deep inside, don't forget to like, share, and subscribe. You never know who might need this reminder today, that even after loss, even after heartbreak, life still has a way of bringing light back in.